Hey friends, today we're going to learn how to spice up your boring site using the View Transitions API. As you can see here, I have this boring old site, nothing special, but how can we spice it up? So for example, if we go to somewhere, how can we animate this page transition smoothly, so like you have on your mobile apps and etc., so that we can notice the changes in our application state, right? And also when we have some user interface like these micro interactions, how can we make this more interesting and animate these elements with ease? And thankfully we can do this in a couple of lines of code thanks to the View Transitions API. And if you're not familiar, the View Transitions API is a new browser API that lets you easily create animated transitions between different states in your app. That's right, it's not only great for page transitions, but any change in state in your app. So let's look at the first example on this page. So here you have these buttery smooth page transitions. In the past, you had to use something like the flip animation technique, which I covered in another video. You can check out if you want, to do impossible layout animations, which wasn't easy until now. So the View Transitions API makes it easy to create state and page transition not only for single page applications, but also for traditional multi-page applications in the future. So how does it work? Well, basically, as you can see in this example, it just creates a snapshot or an image of the old and then the new state. And let's see how it works here. They explain it. This is the API. You say document.start view transition, you make your DOM change, and that's basically it. It takes the image of the old element, the image of the new element, and then it crossfaces by default, but you can use CSS to change that transition. So as we can see here, they show in these examples, they explain how this works. So basically there is a new pseudo element, view transition. So as you can see, by default, when you use the view transitions, it has this tree. So it has view transition, then it has this group root. You have these two images, which are roots, so you get the old one and the new one, which you can target with CSS. And they even explain how this works. So this is basically an overlay. So the old one gets animated from opacity 1 to 0, and the new one goes from opacity from 0 to 1, creating a crossfade. And they also by default use this mixed blend mode, which really isn't important. So we're going to explore how this works and how we can implement this in our SvelteKit application. And as you can see here, they show you how you can target it and customize it further. Alright, so before I begin, don't forget to like and subscribe because it helps me out a lot, and you can also support me by becoming a patron. Another thing worth mentioning is the View Transitions API browser support. As you can see, it's supported in all the Chromium-based browsers, so your Chrome, Edge, and etc. It's not supported yet in Safari and Firefox, but they're working on it. If someone is using a browser that doesn't support the View Transitions API, we can just ignore the view transition and the site is going to work as usual. So there's really not a problem there. We can just progressively enhance the user experience. Alright friends, so I'm excited to get started. So here I have this project, and as always, the link to the post is going to be in the description, which includes also the repo so you can play with the code to your heart's content. Alright, so how do we get started? Here I have this project. I already started the development server, and I created this navigation component which I renamed to View Transition just so it's obvious what it is. And this is what you can include in every project you make and etc. So I just created this so you don't get distracted by anything else. So here I'm just going to create a script tag in the navigation component. So remember what I said, that to use the View Transitions API, you just have to say document start view transition. That's it. You just pass it a callback, and that's basically it. So now basically it's going to take snapshot, the old snapshot. So it's going to take a picture literally, and then you can make any DOM change, and then it's going to take new snapshot and it's going to perform the transition for you. But if you want to do page transitions, we somehow need to know when the page changed, right? And the data is loaded. So we can use a special lifecycle navigation function in SvelteKit called onNavigate. So let me just remove all of this code, and then we can say import onNavigate from app navigation. Alright, so we can just invoke it like this. We're going to pass it a callback, and we can also take navigation from it. And now we can do the check here. We can say, hey, if document start view transition, it doesn't exist, return. As you can see here, we get a TypeScript error. And why that is? Because the View Transitions API is so new, the types don't exist yet. So if you want to ignore this error, you can make a comment. You can say ts ignore, or you can say ts expect error, I think, and then you can leave a message here to someone else reading your code if you want, but I leave that up to you. I'm just going to say ts ignore. Alright, so now we have to return a new promise. So when we know that the page is done loading, this is just how the onNavigate API works. So we have to say return new promise. Again, we're going to pass it a callback. I'm going to say resolve, and then we're going to do the transition. So we can say document start view transition. And now we're going to make this async. Remember the callback from before. Awesome. So now we can resolve this. And then you can say await navigation complete. So basically we have to wait for the page to load and the navigation to be done so we can do the page transition. And if this is intimidating to you, don't worry, you just have to write this code once and now you can reuse it across all of your projects. And maybe in the future SvelteKit makes a higher level abstraction which you can import from the library, but as you see, this is not that bad and it gives you full control over the view transitions API. And also my bad, we need to invoke this, but here again we can just say ps ignore. Of course, if you're using TypeScript, if you're not, then just ignore this. Alright, so let's save this and boom, that's it. Now you have page transition. Let's go back here. And now you can see a simple crossfade. How beautiful is that, friends, right? So let's actually see what's going on. If you open the developer tools, you can open the animation tab. If you don't have access to the animation tab, go here to these dots. Then you can go to more tools, animations. Let me just move this up. Okay, let's do this. So now just pause it here. I'm going to put it at 10% so it's really slow motion. Okay, so you can go to explore and now nothing is going on in the page because we captured that animation. So now you can scrub it here. You can see it's going to replay. So now you can see this crossfade in real time. So this is really a super easy way to debug your view transitions. Look at this. How beautiful is this? It's literally two images. And if you go to the elements even, okay, this is what you usually wouldn't see because we're capturing the animation or we paused everything. Right? So you can see here is the view transition, the group image pair. Now we have old one and the new one, which you can target using CSS. So let me show you how we can do it. Let me just clear this. I'm going to clear all of this so we get back the control of the site. Actually, let's see what's going on. 10%. Yeah, okay. Awesome. So now let's go back here. Here are my global styles, which I just import in the layout, like in a usual SvelteKit app. And then let's just go somewhere here. Yeah, before this. So now we can target this. So we can say view transition old root. Now we can say view transition new, which is the root. And now we can change this by setting animation duration. And we can set it to something like 4 seconds. So now this is going to be super long. Okay, but instead of using this to debug your view transitions, just use the animations tab, which is really powerful. So let me show you another cool thing. Let's say, for example, that maybe you don't want page transitions if you're doing just some stage transition, etc. Well, basically, you can just go here and on the root, you can say view transition name, which you're going to explore later. So you can set this name to anything, but another value is none. So we can just set it like this. And now here, you won't get any transitions. How awesome is that, friends? Okay, but let's make this more interesting. So we can go actually to this post, and here they have a great example. They included some keyframes, so you can do any transition you want. This is really awesome. So because they're just two images, you can do crazy things like a crossfade for the Star Wars swipe effect. You can do the Batman logo transition, whatever you want. So this is like really crazy. So I'm just going to copy this over, and let's just override this. So we're creating a keyframe, which is going to be fade in, fade out. So here you have slide from right. This is really subtle, so I'm going to change this to 100%, so it goes completely off the screen. And then I'm going to say minus 100%. And then you can see, again, they're targeting view transition old root and view transition new. So here's the animation. They're using two animations. It really only looks intimidating about this stupid cubic Bezier. They're using a custom easing, but you can do this whatever you want. And they just use fade out, slide to left. And then for the other one, again, it's going to fade it, but it's going to use slide from right. Okay, let me just save this. And let's see what we get here. So we're going to get a dramatic effect. So as you can see, it looks a bit obnoxious, but yeah, I just wanted to show you that example. Our header is also transitioning with the entire page. So how can we fix this? Well, we can go to the header here and we can separate it from the rest. So we can go to header here and we can just give it a view transition name. So you can go view transition name. And you can name it whatever you want, header, banana, like all of this is going to work. Just going to separate. So as you can see here, now when we're going to transition, now our header is no longer included here. And let me just go to 10% here. I'm going to clear everything and pause it just so we see what's going on. Awesome, here we are. So you can see here is our transition. And now we can see the view transition here. So now we have a group root. And here we separated the header into this. Maybe I can zoom in so you can see it more easily. And you can see it's the same thing. So now this also has an image pair, which you can manipulate whatever you want using the old and new pseudo selector. All right, this is interesting, but let me just clear all of this. And now let's animate this marker, right? Let me just put this here. All right, so now I'm actually just going to remove all of this because it's annoying to me personally, but you can do whatever you want. So yeah, we don't have to do anything fancy here. I'm just going to remove the example I used, so everything works the same as before. So see this marker here above our navigation. What if we can animate that? It's just an image, right? And we easily can, so pay attention. It just teleports like Goku in Dragon Ball, right? So we can make this more interesting. And how can we do this? Well, I can go to the same header file. So where is the marker that I'm using? Here it is, aria current page before. All right, so how do we do this? Well, we just add a view transition name. How awesome is this, friends? We can just say view transition name, and you can give it any name. I'm just going to give it an active page name, just so the view transitions API is aware of what it needs to animate. And now when I go back here, pay attention to this. Let's actually make something dramatic. We're going to go to planets, to about, and you can see it fly over. Maybe it goes like zoop, 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 zoop. And how awesome is this, friends? Alright, but how can we animate elements that aren't the same? So for example, if you go here to Mars, maybe I want to animate the title and the image swooping in. So when I go here to our planets, I just select Mars and then I want the image and the title to transition. And we can do that easily, but we need to give the view transition name a unique name, which we can do using CSS variables. So first I'm going to go to the route for the planets, and then I'm going to assign a special unique name for the image and the title. So I'm going to go here, and here is going to be my routes. So here I'm looping over the planets. So I just need to give it a unique name, which can be done. We can use style, and now we can set the planet CSS variable. So we can name it name, right, which we get from the loop, so we know it's unique. But we're also going to have an issue because we need to give the same value here to our title. So basically now it doesn't know what to transition, so we need to give it something more unique. And let's rename planet to title. So we can go to planet here, and we can say image dash. And here we can say title dash. All right, and that's basically it for the first part. So now we again need to assign the view transition name. I can go here where the container is. Actually, I need the planets. So here I have planets and targeting the planet. And now I can also target using CSS nesting and target the title like this. All right, so we can say view transition name, and now we can just use the CSS variable. How awesome is that, friends? All right, so let's copy this line over. So now we also need to do that for the image. You can see here is the planet image right here. So we can just say view transition name. Pay attention, it's not title. Now we're going to use the planet. So now we can inspect this element. As you can see, zoom in so you can see. So we have images, class Earth, whatever, name Earth, style, planet, image Earth, and same for the title, title Earth, but you can also use any name you want. Alright, so now when we transition this, for example Mars, now we need to assign the same names for the elements that are unrelated but are going to transition to from the old to the new image. So I can do that by going where I have my planets in this route. So here I have all the individual planets when we navigate. And now here, we're just going to do the same thing. So now we just need to find the title, where is H1. So let's go here, we can say style, title, I'm going to say title dash, and we're going to say planet name, which is going to have the same name. Awesome, so now we need to find the image and do the same thing. So here is the image, let's just go here at the end. And I'm going to say style, planet in this case, and I'm going to give it the same identifier image dash, and I'm going to use planet name. All right, so now we also need to give it a view transition name. So if I go here to the image, I can say view transition name. Let's use our CSS variable planet, and we also need to do the same for the title. So I'm going to copy over this line again. So let's see, where is the title? H1, H1. You probably already saw it and are yelling at me. Okay, here it is. H1. Again, pay attention, so it's not planet, it's dash dash title. Alright, so let's see if this works. So if you go to the planet, we're going to see, it already transitions. Okay, so let's go. Oh, how awesome is that? And of course, this title transition is annoying to me personally. I'm just doing it to showcase the View Transitions API. Maybe don't overuse the View Transitions API. Maybe this should be a fade in or something else. I would honestly just animate this image of the planet here and nothing else. But I just want to show how cool it looks, because you can go anywhere else. You can go to Saturn, and we can also see what's going on here. Actually, let me just first go here. And I'm going to clear everything here. And now let's go to 10%. Let's pause everything so we can go to Mars. Let's record it. So we can go here and we can see what happens. So this is how you can debug what's going on with your view transitions. And how beautiful is that, friends? Alright, that's awesome. But the View Transitions API isn't only useful for animating page transitions, but we can also animate state transitions. Now let me just close the developer tools. And as you can see here, we can make a reservation to Mars. I just have this fake loader. I just have this button here. So here I'm using enumerated state. This is why I tell you to not use booleans for state, because of this. Look at this. So we now define all of the states of our button, which is idle, loading, success, error. And now this is awesome because in our styles, we can go to the button and now we can style this however we want depending on the state. So I don't even need special wrappers. I can just say data state when it's loading success, because I have this SVG here, which is just an icon. So this is nothing special. This is just an if which checks the state we're in. It just displays something based on that. As you can see, this is awesome because you can use the data attribute. So now we can style everything based on the data attribute. How beautiful is this, friends? And this is why this is so awesome. And basically here is the logic I have. So I'm going to set the state to loading, and now I'm going to flip a coin. So 50-50 if it's going to be success or error. So let's just check it. If I make a reservation, so no tickets available. And awesome. So how can we make this better? We can make this better using the View Transitions API. So let me show you how you can do that. So maybe you're thinking, okay, we just go to the button here, to the styles, right? So here is the button, and you're like, easy peasy, already a master at View Transition. So you can say View Transition name, and you can give it a name like reservation button or whatever. And you're like, okay, now let's see. And it doesn't work. And why it is? Well, basically this isn't a page transition, right? We need to use the View Transitions on a state transition. And how do we do that? Well, basically it's one line of code also. So now I'm going to go here. I'm going to just create a function transition. So we have a reusable function, and then you can pass it a callback. I'm just going to pass it action. And if you're using TypeScript, I'm just going to give it a simple type. It returns nothing. And again, we're going to check if the document start view transition exists. So start view transition. If it doesn't exist, let's just return. Otherwise, we're going to say document start view transition, and we're just going to pass it the callback like before. And that's basically it. And as I said before, you can use tsignore. You can paste this so it doesn't bother you. And basically that's it. So now we just need to use it. So now here where it's state loading, I'm just going to say transition. So whenever you change your state, pass it the callback. I'm just going to say state loading. Awesome, basically that's it. So now we need to change this for all the other occurrences. So now let me just go here. I'm going to pass it a callback transition. Remember, we need to pass it a callback like this. This is going to be state success. Let's just copy this over so you don't have to do the same thing. So this is going to be error. And here we need to change it to idle. Let's go here. So after 3 seconds, whatever happens, we're just going to go back to idle. Alright, so now we can save it and you should see it works, but not like you expect. So let me just make a reservation. It does something weird, like what is going on here? And basically, by default, it's going to try to preserve the aspect ratio, which we can change because these are just images and we can target using CSS. So in our CSS, you can go here. You can do this in your global styles, whatever. I'm just going to do it here because it's scoped to the component. So we can use the global property from Svelte, and we can do it like this. We can say global HTML because the pseudo element is on the HTML, so we don't have to put the entire element inside here. And now we can say view transition alt. So now you need to give it a new name. So you can say reservation, and then let me just copy this over. And now old, rename it to new, reservation. So now we're going to ignore the aspect ratio, and you can do it by setting width to 100%. And you can set height to 100%. All right, so now we can save this and let's see if it works. So now let's make a reservation. Oh, look how cool that transition looks like. And it's only a couple of lines of code, right? So now let's flip the coin and let's get a successful reservation. And how beautiful is this, friends? Alright, so the last thing I want to mention is respecting the user preference for reduced motion. Someone might suffer from motion sickness, or maybe they just don't want any animations on the page, in which case you can go to the post here and just copy over this snippet in your project. So you can go to the global styles, and I'm just going to copy it here. And also remember, prefers reduced motion doesn't mean no motion, so you can set some more sensible values here, but if nothing else, just set animation to none, and that's basically it. And in the future, because of the View Transitions API, you're going to see a lot of obnoxious sites that have everything flying around, but just be respectful, right? Because that really won't make your site look great, but obnoxious, just use it where it makes sense. For example, as I already said here, maybe I wouldn't animate this title in, animating the planet alone is enough for me. Alright, so that's it, friends. If you like what you're seeing, don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can also support me by becoming a patron. Thank you for watching, and catch you in the next one. Peace!